Happy Friday, everybody. This is not a champion review, but it is a champion rundown. We got K'Sante here.
Yeah.
Fucking Abby, what do you think? He looks pretty badass.
He looks pretty cool. He's got, like, my first impression, and I have not looked at any of the abilities or anything. My first impression when I saw the release video was that he reminded me a bit of, like, a Riven-style champion. With some more... Man, I had, like, a... What did I say? He was two champions that... I'll have to see if I can find out what I said. But he kind of looked like the mix of... it was a Silas and something else, because like all the jump arounds and looked like he had the two hits. It's just
like
very strange.
The most mobile, like they're calling him a tank, but
wonderful,
like tank fighter. He's insanely mobile. If you guys saw the like gameplay teaser, like he's just flying everywhere. We don't know what the fuck he's doing. Yeah, he looks pretty sick. I'm hyped. I really like his weapons, which are called Natofos.
Okay.
I think that's what they're called. They're like glaives, right? Like big ass. They look fucking sick.
They're not really glaives, but yeah, they're very interesting.
Maybe I'm not thinking of. Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong.
The glaive would have like a knife on the end of it.
Got it. Okay.
They look more like
Natofos.
Stone sword. They're kind of like billy clubs, like very extra large billy clubs or whatever.
Huge blunt weapons that can be used defensively, which can be shattered to form intricate blades, and they are made from regenerating animal hide. Huh. This was posted 2 months ago on the League subreddit. Interesting.
Huh.
Okay. Okay, cool. I did not say glaive. No one said glaive. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna go over his abilities and we're gonna talk about him. We also got his current like ratios that are on PvE, obviously subject to change. But yeah, I've been watching. The only person I've been watching, I think Lorlo's been playing him just on PvE and fucking around, and obviously he's a very good player, so he's gonna look a little bit better than other people. I have played a few just like bot games of him on PvE, so I can probably put in a little bit of input of like when we go over certain abilities.
Right.
Yeah, and then I mean, of course, we have the Prestige skin, which Lil Nas X designed? Yeah, designed.
Yeah.
It looks fucking badass. I made the comparison. You didn't agree with me. I said it kind of looks like he's KDA because he's a pop star, and it just makes sense if Lil Nas X made this. It's like, I can see when Lil Nas X, I'm assuming, performs the world song at finals, I bet you he's going to come out wearing this.
I wouldn't be surprised. It looks like... an outfit that someone like him would wear just like for whatever event. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
The wildest thing, like, and I've been seeing a lot of people say this, and not necessarily just because not just that it looks like a KDA skin. Like, I've been seeing people say that it looks very different, and I understand it's a prestige skin. It looks very different than the base skin line of Imperium, which is like a vomit of colors. This looks, like neon, and I obviously like
neon.
Yeah, I know the prestige skins they're working with now are different. Than like look at the Senna skin, the Cinder, right. But they still look like they fit in that skin line. This looks like a completely different.
Yeah,
and it's not a bad thing.
I didn't realize that was part of that skin line.
Right.
I guess because it doesn't look. Yeah, it doesn't look like it at all.
I mean, again, it looks sick. I'm happy with it. His weapons, like, if you watched like the trailer for it, they look like they're flames, like they're kind of like moving like flames, which looks sick. Mm-hmm. I think I have the base Imperium on screen right now. I think the base one looks
way cooler. Even though it looks kind of like the Pike one reminded me of Project Pike, and that was...
Is it the helmet?
It's the knife. It's the knife color, because some of the chromas from Project Pike changed the knife in technically I think his weapon is technically actually the Dustblade of Drakthar. It changes and it looks very neon like that, and that was my only complaint. I'm like, man, it's like just another of the same skin for Pike.
I think I've seen people talk about this. Project Pike kind of like is a shitty legendary skin.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
think like some of the animations are not like they're like his bait. He doesn't have any unique. I don't know in particular. Maybe I'm just talking out my ass. I think like the running animation, his home guard animation isn't different. Some of these other like animations aren't different. It does look similar. I think. I mean, obviously the colors aren't the same, but like, yeah. I mean, I see the helmet too. I think that's what's getting me.
Yeah, the helmet for sure is one of them too. But it's just I don't know. The Pike one is the only one I'm really like kind of disappointed in.
I mean, they got to throw a Lux skin in too to get some sales up, right?
Well, they haven't done a Lux skin in a hot minute, so I will say that's fine.
This is her 18th skin, by the way.
She has so many.
But to be fair, and I saw someone bring this up, like 9 of them are 975 RP or less. Like they're shitty skins.
Oh, that's fair.
So I'm like, okay. But I mean, people are gonna buy Lux skins. I know this skin line is unique. I like the Vex one. I did see. We're gonna get to Cassante in a minute. This is just a side track. Wild Rift is getting Bewitching Vex, and it looks so sick.
Right.
Bewitching Vex. Like, why can't we have this?
Right.
I don't know.
Oh,
Whatever.
I'm sending you in Discord right now. Actually, what I'm looking at, the two Pike parts I'm looking
Okay.
at, where it reminds me of him. If you look at his blade, it's like, dude,
It's the same. Yeah.
yeah. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, that was the first thing I thought. I'm like, that fucking sucks. And that's a chroma, obviously, for Project Pike, but still, it's like, dude, that's literally the same fucking thing.
And you do
Just
know
change
this,
a little.
this Imperium one is a legendary.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
legendary. The
God.
Pike one, yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe in game it'll feel better. It'll look better.
Maybe,
So
maybe I couldn't find anything in game that reflected the way that looks. Like the only one I've seen is just the skin spotlight, and that looks drastically different than the splash art
right.
that they, or at least the art that they sent us. Anyway, sorry to detract from that.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's a very unique skin line. I'll give them that. We'll see. I don't know. See.
Yeah,
But
yes,
yeah,
we will.
let's get into Cassante. So, which I'm gonna suggest is we start with his ultimate because his ultimate has a passive that affects his other abilities.
Got it. Okay,
So okay, so we'll start with his ultimate. So it's called All Out.
okay,
We'll read it. Cassante shatters his Ntofos, dealing physical damage and knocking back an enemy champion. Enemies that hit a wall will take a greater amount of physical damage, are knocked back over the wall, and are briefly stunned. Cassante then dashes after the enemy and goes all out for an extended duration. I believe. Now let me look at the. How long is it? 20 seconds. So it's a 20-second window when you're quote unquote all out.
Okay.
So if you're watching the video, you fucking like. It's pretty insane. It almost feels like a blink. It says it dashes, but like he like goes behind the target, like you're watching this Nautilus, and then
Yeah.
he like just zooms
Oh,
so
yeah.
fucking far. Like it's pretty sick. But
So
again, it's kind of scary that like a hyper mobile, like imagine taking, like you're just gonna be able to access the back line. You just fucking take the Nautilus.
Either access the back line or remove the front line
Just yeah, there you go.
if you can flank.
And then you're behind them.
Yeah.
Like it's a pretty interesting. But I mean, that's only if you hit if there's a wall or terrain that's in the way.
Right.
You'll go that far. Otherwise, I mean, I think it's a shorter dash, but he has 69 fucking dashes. So yeah. And then all out. So you'll notice when we get to his abilities, they all have a all out section. So for the 20 seconds, all out, Cassante loses a percentage of max health, bonus armor, and bonus magic resist, and in return he gains attack damage, omnivamp, and then transforms his abilities. So if we look at his what the numbers are,
The ratios and
so
stuff.
he will lose 45% of his max health,
Jesus.
65% bonus armor, and 65
MR.
bonus magic. Yeah. I think they didn't mention that when they like teased him months ago that he was going to be like this, like he's tanky, but then he's also going to be like an offensive,
Okay.
like on the offense, so he can deal damage or whatever.
right.
So then he gains 6, which is 5 plus 22 and a half, and then 22 and a half of his armor and magic resist, and then
in AD.
Yeah, in AD, and then the Omnivamp scales off his bonus health or his max. Is it bonus health?
It looks like max health.
Okay, yeah, right, max health, and then yeah, so
0.75%, so 10 plus 0.75% of his max health. So okay.
Think about it. So you're gonna, if you can access the back line and or get rid of the front line, you're gonna be behind who you're trying to get to, and then you're gonna be able to deal damage.
So when I look at the numbers just for the damage that it deals, like this says. For whatever, obviously we can't see what they have on there. I'm assuming this is probably pretty base at level 6, but I'm not entirely sure. It says when he shatters into topos, he deals 48, which was 34 plus 20% AD physical damage, knocking back enemy champion. Enemies that hit a wall take 164 damage, so you're taking 150 plus 20% AD physical damage. Mm-hmm. Which is not a whole lot. So hopefully, as we go through the other skills, it'll make sense with the other abilities doing more or whatever. But I'm assuming that's also just a basic, like, no items, just basic stats levels at that point. It looks like level 6 on the ability, because where it's highlighted or whatever, so at the bottom. Yeah. So it looks like it must be at level 6. And like I said, I just assume it's just with whatever base stats that he has.
And I mean, again, he is a tank, and you'll see they're gonna they incentivize you to build tank. And again, when you go all out, you're gonna be the bonus AD Omnivamp is gonna get it's gonna convert all the stats you're building into damage. So
the first thing I see too is it looks like he's gonna be a Sterix Gauge kind of guy. When you see that all out, like losing the health and the bonuses but getting damage, it looks to me like he's gonna be a Sterix Gauge guy. That's the first thing that came to mind when I see that.
I think he'll be more of a raw, I don't know if raw tank would be like straight up tank, not a fighter. I think that's what he's going to be looking for, but let's
we'll get to the other ones.
Yeah. You want to go, so we'll go back to
the passive?
Yeah, tell me about the passive Dauntless Instinct.
Dauntless Instinct. Casante's damaging abilities mark enemies hit for a short duration. Attacking a marked enemy consumes the mark to deal damage plus max health physical damage. When he's going all out, attacking a marked enemy instead deals physical damage and additional max health true damage. Because,
so let's look at the numbers.
It's not a champion unless they deal true damage in Riot. Because durability for what?
That's another dead giveaway. It's like
tank staple.
Usually tanks build max health and or true damage. So
right.
All right, give me these numbers.
Okay, so Casante's damaging abilities mark enemies hit for 4 seconds. They said short duration. I thought maybe 2 seconds. 4 seconds, a lot longer than I expected. Attacking a marked enemy consumes the mark to deal 10 plus.
It scales 10.
10 to 25 per level.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Fuck was all that pounding? Okay, let me start that over again. Sorry, I just heard some pounding back there. Okay. Casante's damaging abilities mark enemies hit for 4 seconds. Attacking a marked enemy consumes the mark to deal 10, which looks like it's 10 to 25 based on level, plus 1%, which looks like it's 1 to 1.5% max health, and that's also based on level. When all out, attacking a marked enemy instead deals 25, which is a really weird number, and it's going to scale with almost 14% of your armor and magic resist physical damage, and looks like 13.5 plus 2% armor magic resist plus another 2,000 of percent max health true damage. So it gets really fucking weird. What you need to know is that it's gonna scale off of your magic and armor your armor and magic resist, and these numbers will inevitably get changed and probably brought up or down when the champion comes out, and in the ensuing weeks, these numbers almost assuredly will be changed quite often. And there's a little note at the bottom says Casante gains 25 bonus attack range on marked targets. All out increases damage from the entire attack by 36.2%. So that kind of gives you like a really good breakdown of what they're doing here.
I mean, it doesn't. What do you think? Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you think about trading and depending on, obviously this is just his passive, and we'll get into his abilities.
Right.
you got to think of, are you running Grassley Undying? Are you running Conquer, which is gonna, additionally, I mean,
We
and
don't
there's
know
no
the
cooldown.
Okay, as I say,
There's
yeah, this is the passive. Okay.
I don't. Yeah, so there's no cooldown, so you can constantly keep applying this
if you have any sort of attack speed.
if you're trading. I mean, I think. Well, we'll get into his Q, and you'll understand. So I think it might be. I think it's going to become OP.
I think it's going to be strong. I do. The one thing I really, really like is at the bottom they have that little breakdown of like telling you what they're doing, what they're trying to do here. Like, hey, increase the damage from the entire attack by 36.2%. It makes a whole lot more fucking sense than looking at the math of 24.29 plus 13.88 armor, 13.88% MR, and then looking at, like you said, 1.35% plus 0.002% armor and 0.002% magic resist, which is next to nothing, by the way. That's like 1 or 2. Obviously, it gets a little ridiculous, so I like that they have that little breakdown down there. So
again, I mean, obviously it's not scaling that much, but it's like if you have 300 armor, or like, I don't even know how much magic resist. There's not that much magic resist in the game compared to armor. I mean, if you get a couple hundred, that's when you're gonna feel it. So that's why I think you're gonna be wanting to stack armor and magic resist items. So
for sure.
All right, let's move on to his Q.
By the way, just real quick, did we get his origins? Is he Shuriman?
Yes, I believe he is. He's from another. Let's see. My ancestors built Nazuma. No god, king, or beast could conquer them. It's like a different
new region. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's like, because everyone else like worships Azir or whatever, and he is separate than that.
Yeah, just looking at a splash art, it looks Shuriman just because it's desert based, but I wasn't sure if that was supposed to be where it was. But that's neither here nor there. Natofo strikes the Q. What's going on with these guys?
K'Sante slams his weapon, dealing physical damage in a small area around him and briefly slowing targets hit. If an enemy is hit, K'Sante gains a stack for a short duration. At 2 stacks, K'Sante instead fires a shockwave that pulls enemies. So, first thing I thought of is like a Yasuo Q, where it stacks up twice.
Right.
Also, kind of like a Poppy Q, where he slams the ground and he slows.
Okay.
And then if you're watching the video, you'll see the little like wind animation he gets, and it like sucks. It's almost, I almost call it like a mini Braum ult, where it's kind of like it travels down in a straight line, and then it pulls them towards you, knocks them up, and pulls them towards you.
Right.
So that's
it reminds me of like a little bit of like a little Talia E.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see that. Seismic shove.
Yeah, mixed with the Braum ulti that pops them up, or even like even think of it like a kind of Diana-ish.
Yeah. But it's on. So let me see. And then all out, this ability's cooldown is reduced and no longer slows targets hit. So it's very interesting that they're trading off there. So you get a trade off. But let's look at these numbers. So slams his weapon down, dealing 80, which is 45 plus 50% of your AD physical damage and briefly slowing them. Enemy struck by 80%. How do you feel about that?
That's
80%.
That's a lot.
3.5 second cooldown.
That's
it's a flat cooldown.
Jesus, that's gonna get changed.
When an enemy is hit, K'Sante also gains a stack of Natofo strikes for 6 seconds. So it's 6 seconds. It's only on a 3.5 second cooldown. So obviously you have more than enough time.
Right.
At 2 stacks, and it fires a shockwave, it pulls them for 1 second. So another thing to note, and I realized this playing him on like PvE, you can just stack this off of minions. So it's literally like Yasuo Q.
Right.
So you don't even have to keep trading with your Q. You like stack, and then, I have the pullback, then I can get it.
Can you just think about the amount of wave manipulation you can do with K'Sante?
Pull all the minions towards you?
Pull them towards you, or go behind them, pull them away, and then run. Like you have a lot of wave manipulation.
Also,
make him a good top laner.
Also to note, can you tell me what the mana cost on this ability is?
15 mana.
That is insanely low.
Right. I wonder if he's gonna have a duty tier mana pool.
He might.
Because looking at some of his other skills, they're a little bit more costly.
I mean, it's perfect for a tier. I mean, this is a easy tier stacking ability. So
absolutely. And the question is, do you go something like that? Do you go Man Immune, or do you go Winter's Approach?
No, I don't think you. I don't think you're gonna want to stack AD.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. We'll have to play around with it and goof around with it a little bit.
So let's also see here, obviously, and then the ability is reduced by 1 second and no longer afflicts the slow when he's on all out. And then the little blurb says the ability's cooldown is reduced by bonus armor and magic resist.
Wow.
So there you go. So again, it's kind of like, again, Yasuo, which is Q is reduced by attack speed.
Right.
This is resistances. And its cast time is reduced by bonus health. Each use partially resets Casante's attack timer and fully resets his attack timer in all out. So your it's an auto attack reset.
Yep.
Which is insane. So that's sick. On a 3.5 second cooldown.
Yep. Is this a Divine Sunderer champion?
So I was thinking, obviously, a Sheen item would be good. Remember, they're bringing back Iceborne Gauntlet, baby.
Also true.
But again, I mentioned on the other days, the Wednesday's episode, Heartsteel. I said Heart Gold. It's Heartsteel. Just stealing HP out the ass is insane.
That's pretty gross too.
But no, for sure, I think a Sheen item is going to be great on this guy.
Right, and that's like Sunder is really the only tankier Sheen item that you can get, right?
Except for Iceborne Gauntlet when that
right,
comes out.
right. So that would be an interesting trade off. We'll see what happens there, I guess.
All right, let's look at that. George W.
Pathmaker.
Yep.
Pathmaker. Begin charging. Casante raises his weapons defensively for a short duration, becoming unstoppable. Wonderful. And reducing incoming damage. Also wonderful. Release. Casante rams forward, dealing a percentage of max health physical damage, knocking back and stunning enemies he passes through for a short duration based on charge time. The one thing I will say that I find quite interesting is he deals a lot of actually physical damage. Most tanks deal a lot of magic damage. I think most tanks have a fair amount of either split, but usually their abilities deal a lot of magic damage. So it's interesting to see.
Like when it's max health,
right, max health is usually done as magic damage, and I'm just like thinking of like Ornn obviously does a lot of magic damage. Sion does physical, but he also does magic damage. Like I think he does physical with his Q, and that's it. I think every other ability is magic damage.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that this champion's dealing physical damage, which means it's going to be a lot harder to itemize against in the top side, because a lot of times top champions are going to go for their keystone, or not keystone, their mythic, and then they'll go for a defensive item, which usually ends up being magic resist, just because the champions in the game that are mid and from mid lane to top lane are usually going to be a magic damage champion that does a lot of damage. So interesting.
One champion for you, Aatrox.
Aatrox, you're right, but he's not a tank though.
I know.
But I'm trying to just think of like the tanks here that do it or whatever. But like your jungle champions, you might see like a Mordekaiser or a Maokai. Even on top, you might see a Maokai. Especially if mid is a physical damage champion like a Zed or a Yasuo Yoni or something like that. So I find it interesting that he's dealing max health physical damage.
Also to note, if it's not clear, it works like the same way as like a Pike Q, where you have to hold it to charge it. So
right,
the longer you charge it, the further you'll go forward. Yeah.
The all-out version of this ability says this ability's cooldown is refreshed. The damage reduction is increased. It deals an additional amount of physical damage based on charge time, and the charge and dash speed are doubled. So
I would say you want to use this. You want to charge your W. You want to use it, and then you want to use your ult, because this, I believe, we'll look at the numbers in a second. It has a very long cooldown.
24 seconds.
Yeah, so it will automatically get refreshed when you hit R.
Right. So
let's look at these numbers.
Let's see. So when you begin charging, Cassandra raises weapons for 1 second, becoming unstoppable and reducing incoming damage by, looks like 26%. Look, guys, 25% base, and then you're getting a 0.1% armor and MR, and then 0.01% of max health. When you release, he slams his weapons, dealing up to 8.25% max health physical damage, knocking back and stunning. Looks like there is no scaling on that.
There is.
Is there?
If you look down for the...
Okay, well,
it goes 8.25 to 9.25.
Okay, based on level of the ability. Okay.
Right. So,
okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, I understand what you meant. Okay.
Yeah. The all out is refreshed. The damage reduction increases to 31%, so you're just getting an extra 0.02 So you're getting an extra 5% base, and then 0.02% of your MR and armor, and then 0.02% of your max health, and it deals up to an additional, looks like 110 plus 50% AD physical damage based on the charge time. And then obviously everything is doubled. It says this ability reaches its max charge after 0.85 seconds. At minimum charge, enemies are dealt. Wait. Let me go back. 0.85 seconds, so it charges that fast.
Very fast. It's insane.
For a 24-second
for the max
cooldown. Yeah, that is crazy. At minimum charge, enemies are dealt 4.25% max health physical damage and are knocked back and stunned for 0.35 seconds. And All Out deals an additional, looks like 25 plus 50% AD physical damage. So that's the minimum charge. That's like if you just basically click it instead of holding it.
So let's also not forget, when you're in All Out, you are gaining AD.
Yes.
For all the resistances you're building.
Right.
So this is 50% of it. And I'm assuming this is not bonus AD. It's just your AD.
Right.
I feel like it would say bonus. I hope.
Yeah, I think it just says max AD. I think it's total AD. You're probably not going to see a whole lot of bonus AD on a tank champion anyways, right?
Right. So, I mean, they got to give you something. If you're 300 armor, 200, this ability is probably going to do a lot of damage when you're all out.
Right. The cooldown does scale down significantly. It looks like it goes from 24 to 16 seconds. The minimum percent health damage looks like it's 4.25 to 5.25, and the max is 8.25 to 9.25. The minimum all-out flat damage looks like it's 25 to 65, and the max is
so much
110
more.
to 350.
Holy shit.
Just
looking at those is so much more.
Yeah, it's fucking disgusting.
So yeah, what do you think? I mean, how do you feel about more unstoppable?
I know, I hate, dude. I'm so tired of unstoppable abilities, to be 100% honest with you. But, you know, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I feel like this is a champion, like, you can read all of its abilities, but, like, you have to actually play him to really understand how this works and how these flow together. And, like, if these numbers seem outrageous, are they really outrageous? You gotta kind of dick around with it a little bit, you know? So let's move on to the E.
Footwork. K'Sante dashes. Is this the second dash? Well, I guess we started with his ult, so this is technically the third dash.
Right.
Okay, so K'Sante dashes, gain a shield for a short duration. If dashing to an ally, the distance is significantly increased, and they are also shielded. Other spells can be cast during this ability.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Just literally reminds me of Rakan.
Dash W.
And Syra, yeah. And then All Out, this ability's speed is increased. Dashing to a target location has increased range and can go over walls.
So it sounds like you can't go over walls without going all out.
Yeah. So let's look at these scaling. Let's look at the scaling. So here we go. We got some AP ratios. Oh, no, never mind. It scales off HP, max HP. I got confused by the blue.
Right,
okay.
Right.
So it is base 45 plus 15% of your HP for 2 seconds. And then again, that is applied to an ally if you're dashing towards them. I wish it would tell me how far. I can't remember what the range was. I think it's not very far. I wish it would tell me if it was like doubled. The distance of this is going to increase, so maybe it's more than doubled. And then nothing else really. But cooldown is 9 to 7 seconds. Shield base is 45 to 125, and then the mana cost is 45 to 65. So this is obviously, from what I've seen and what I've briefly played, you're going to max Q, E, and then W.
Okay. I can see it.
I mean, this is actually a very straightforward ability. There's nothing
I know, special. I like that, because they never give us straightforward abilities.
I mean, you could play. I feel like you could play this dude support if you're able to get a shield and like, I don't know. It kind of reminds me like a Braum, where Braum can like jump to you and then shield like in front of you. Obviously, He doesn't have like a projectile block, but he's gonna be able to grant you a shield, and he can like catch up to the AD that's sprinting ahead of him.
That's true. That is very true. I think you're right though. It does remind me a little bit Brahmish style. So I do like that. I think that's a fun style of play. It's almost like a, yeah, what do they call him? A guardian. So yeah, he's kind of a guardian. He's not necessarily uh, he's got like it's interesting because we don't see too many like offensive style tanks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I find that very interesting to think about.
It's definitely unique.
Right.
It's, I mean, again, it's a trade off. When you're all out, you're going to be a lot squishier. But I mean, you get Omnivamp and you get more AD, so you're going to be
Also
able
true.
to hopefully be healing. It's a very, I mean, you're going to have to probably be kind of picky of when you want to do this, because you could realistically you could just go to the back line and just die instantly.
Right.
So,
Totally could.
or I mean, the other thing is if you're flanking and like you can get a flank on the enemy ADC and get
Mm-hmm.
them against a wall, you could just hand deliver that ADC to your team and then blow that thing up.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, you can get them all the way, with the shockwave and everything like that. You can totally make that work with you, or even ulting someone backwards and then like getting on the other side of them and shockwave pulling them back. Like, yeah, you have a lot of interesting CC. I guess it's not reliable CC, but it's powerful CC, right?
Yeah.
Which usually you see in support tanks like Thresh, right? It's not the most reliable, but if you can get it, like the ulti or the flay are super powerful forms of CC, let alone the hook. I mean, we know the hook. The hook is the hook. The hooks are totally powerful. But to be able to, like, just move a champion with a bunch of knockbacks is insane. I don't think there's too many champions that have more than one knockback, are there?
No, this
I
guy
mean,
is like his whole kit is this.
it's a pull's not a knockback, but like for all intents and purposes, it's a knockback.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
that's like it's kind of mega nasty.
I know. I'm stoked.
Yeah, no, I like it.
I'll try to play him in the jungle too. I just feel like since he has his Q is such a low cooldown. I mean, he's just made for top lane just to like
Right.
trade so frequently.
I agree.
Probably he has really good gank setup too with the amount of CC.
Yes, I don't know that he would survive. Excuse me, survive in the jungle in terms of clear speed. I don't think we would know that without
To be
trying
fair,
it. But
what they're doing with the pets and shit,
it might
anybody
possible.
can fucking jungle.
Possible, right. But I mean, sometimes it just depends. Like, can you even clear something fast enough? And so that's one thing I would be interested to see. But I could see it working at some point. I could see someone making that work.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
But yeah, that's Cassante. Let us know what you guys think for the question of the week. First impressions, just overall design. I think he's sick as fuck. Just a fight, like I don't know. He looks like a fighter, but he's a tank. It's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
don't know.
No, I think he's super interesting. I'm with it. I'm not. I can't hate on it. I think it's a cool champion to see. I think he's got some interesting abilities. I think he's going to be more complex than he seems. And I think that's okay. I think that's totally okay. I'm
So you guys-
excited.
yeah. I think he comes. Well, he'll be out next patch, I think.
It would be next
So,
patch. Oh yeah,
2 weeks,
probably.
12, 21.
They probably
I know
want to
his-
do it while the world's hype is still high and people are still in on
I
the Lil Nas
believe
X.
yeah, you're right. I believe his the prestige skin launches on the day of finals
Oh,
on the
okay.
Saturday. Will be dropped. Was it the 4th? Maybe I'm not wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on, let me see.
It's finals the
Oh,
fourth
it's
or the fifth.
5th, probably the 5th.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So yeah, let us know, guys. What do you guys think about Cassante?
Yep.
That is it. We'll be back next week. I'm sure there'll be more preseason stuff we can go over. So,
Oh, I'm sure there will be.
so guys, as always, like, comment, review.
Help
Everything.
me out. Share with a friend is like the
Share.
biggest thing, dude. If you could just share. If I could just get someone to share to one friend or two friends, but to just one friend would be a tremendous help.
I promise I'm going to be going through the VOD. I'm going to try to do some this weekend and get some clips out. Hit up the YouTube. We're getting a little bit of love on YouTube. So
We're getting a
that'd be
lot of
great.
love on YouTube, actually. We're getting
Yeah.
quite a bit of love on YouTube, so that's a cool little thing too. I know some people prefer to listen there, so that's totally okay. The comments there are still just as valid as comments on Spotify or anywhere else. So Keep it up. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys back next week.
Have a good weekend.